Hey guys, what's cracking? You can see here from the date, 16th of September. Today is the 6th of October. It's been ages since I've done a video. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them being that Star Atlas had a bit of a breather, and it needed a breather. It was super fucking important to have a breather because it was overcharged. It had a launch, it had tokenomics going over 10,000%. It had ship problems with listings where they had things like the Thrippet launched at 9,000. Do I have the Thrippet here? So the Thrippet launched at $9,000 and it actually went into the 22s or 24,000s, I believe it was. So there's been a lot of ups and downs to Star Atlas over the last month, supercharged month. You can see here the prices actually, buys are super low. So there's no sells of that, 9,800. But there's been a lot of ups and downs, and how I'm going to tackle today is I'm going to look at the basics. I'm going to go over what I've missed over the last 2 weeks and get back into doing my content. Probably going to be on a midweek, we do a Friday night segment. For those that are unaware, Friday night it will be 11:30 UTC, so 11:30 AM UTC. So that is actually 7:30 PM per Singapore time. And that's based on doing that for us, for our time zone. As Aussies, the three of us doing the stream, myself, Metaverse Explorer, and one of my best mates, Egg, we had really good fun last week, 25 out of 25 people, so we have to change our Discord, our setup and all of that up. So let's get into the video though. We can see Atlas is trading just under 12 cents, or just over 11 cents. So that had a bit of a dive down. Still really high if you do the actual total market cap for it, but there it is either way. Polar's sitting at that $9 marker. That went right up and came right down as well. It's been up and down. Now I had this linked out minigame registration that has started. I haven't done any of those, and we will go through that tonight. So I've got the Star Atlas here, the Twitter, and what I will do is I know what's coming up. I want to play a little bit of this video here because this thing is super important. We spoke about it on Friday night last week. We will speak about it again Friday night next week because it ties into several key elements. So let's get this going.
Developing ourselves. It's been quite a busy year for us. We just launched at the beginning of the year in January. We rolled out an NFT marketplace product in April that we developed for the launch of a campaign that we call
Alright, that's in the wrong spot.
Whether it's the ownership of these NFTs or simply being employed by people within the metaverse itself in this digital world.
Michael, you mentioned Axie Infinity on Ethereum. I also have heard about Aurora on Solana. Similarities and differences, perhaps you can discuss?
You know, I'm unfortunately not as well appraised on the, I guess, competitive products out there.
Now, I love this interview. 6-minute interview with what is the premier #1 to be launched, most hype. They've taken in the most money. They've done the most fundraising game on Solana. 6-minute interview. And she's just stopped and interjected about Aurora. That actually leads into later in the week. I believe it was sort of planted as marketing ploy for Aurora. Later in the week we saw the TSM link up and all that kind of stuff. But I also think this is needed. A lot of these interviews that have been done have been curated. So I do like the fact that he was challenged on stage. You can actually see it wasn't an eye roll. He's tired. He's super tired. I think it was 6:30 AM for him in the morning. And he's, you know, being hit with something that probably wasn't on the script. Super important. Really good reaction. The interview, even at the end, there was another one when she's basically paused and said, "When game." Yeah, that to me showed a lot within that, and it links up to things that I'll tie into Friday night. But I do believe we need more open sourced interviews like that where, you know, everything shouldn't be scripted. We shouldn't have these rewritten out, only quest on these lines. This is decentralized. It's meant to be power to the people. Let some people get live. And a good plug into that is the town halls. They do get people up for live questions. So it's funny how a lot of the live questions on town halls, there wasn't one last week, there will be one this week, but it's funny how a lot of the interviews are very similar, rehashed questions, rehashed content. but the town halls have the options to go live. So a lot of stuff that I've missed. Trailer 2 end of September. It's October, but we see here 5 hours. Now I could have done this video tomorrow night, but I'm basing these. I've got a lot of videos, a lot of content I'm trying to cover, study, do based on having the available times, planning, research, and it's been ages since I've done a Star Atlas one. Things that were mentioned since my last video. We know that you can fail missions in the minigame if you run out of fuel. We've heard talk about diamond in the first cinematic video being the wrong word. It's more about finding the planet Iris, which is part of the game lore, part of the ReBirth posters, and I made a bit of a joke about it and commented it was poor form, like diamond, why, you know, but it's good to hear that. Now, licenses, land, power plants, land licenses, power plants, all of those things at the start, that was in the marketplace. These things were all put on hold. So it was very late. They really should have done it much earlier, but it was the level 1s, I believe, that you could buy. The level and the space stations, the mining drills, power plants. They were left open for too long. People were buying up at ridiculous prices, overpaying. They were FOMOing. They were a bit worried about they might not be able to get it come the release of the game. Now there's this mixture of it's a decentralized game, and it's going to come into a few of the talk points, but I think these probably could have been left offline. I personally didn't go and sell any of mine. I bought a lot of posters at the start. Am I not logged in? So I bought a lot of posters at the start, and for me, I kept all of mine. Now, a part of that was I didn't want to have these posters and then fuck it up. So I didn't want to have the posters, sell something too cheap, and then potentially later on not have. So you can see I got a lot of the early posters. I bought 6 of the Armstrongs, the ASFs. So for me, I don't even know what the spacesuits are going to be worth. So, you know, these things here are usable only by humans. Lucky I'm going to be picking a human race. Faction, I should say. But they were stopped. Also, the pilot licenses. That was another big one that was stopped. I think they may have been in there, so they may have taken them off already. But we can tie that into, there was in one of my very early videos, I talked about how they're not problematic and worried about having to change NFTs, because they can withdraw the NFT, change the metadata, and then metadata and release it, and it's live. There'll be changes. They'll be able to adjust things through the game as we go along. So some of those licenses, the captain's licenses, were selling for, I believe, around $3,000. Now, how they're planning to combat that, there was only 70 of the captains, is the ships are going to come with these licenses. They're going to be account bound, and you may only need 1 per account. So the old licenses will be turned into NPCs. So I believe there's going to be 70 something of the captains, and they're going to be made into legendary, I think it was. So I don't know how it's going to be, but there's going to be 70 NPCs. Hopefully they get different names, some kind of different skin or look different. I don't know. If they're legendary, they could have sold for $3,000. People that have bought them for $3,000, do they need to represent that to that person? They've gone and bought it themselves at their own risk. And there was so much talk, don't buy licenses, don't buy landmines, land claims or mining rigs or any of that kind of stuff, yet people still went and did it. The last Town Hall 17, the first 20 minutes was basically shilling and talking with Orca. Now there's lots of things to see with that. Part of it is, I've talked about this in many other videos, is they're going to be pairing up with other platforms, other protocols. They're going to have partners. They're going to need to do this. And they had a quiet couple of weeks. They needed a quiet couple of weeks. The game was too hardcore at that stage. During that interview, Town Hall, Metaverse Explorer actually did ask about uniforms and the luck factor. So I don't think I've said this on a video yet, but luck factor will be something they vary in, whether it's a percentage your ship doesn't take damage or you get a higher cut from a mining claim. We don't know yet. They're still working with that mechanism. Another thing worth mentioning is the Star Atlas exchange. This got raised on the last Town Hall 17, and they did talk about, you can see that huge cost there spike for the throughput. Now this is a non-Star Atlas exchange, but there's going to be a lot of these third-party platforms done. I think probably we could have a little bit better. Yep, there it is, Interstellar Alliance Discord. You can click on that. It's done by Interstellar Alliance. Blockchain Man worked very hard to get it out, and this thing is absolutely fucking amazing. And Star Atlas should have done this much, much earlier. So I love how there was questions put on the town hall. It was asked, how do we get recognised so people don't think that we're a scam or anything like that. There was recently a scam for a Star Atlas styled game that came out, Solvers Finance, I believe they called themselves. So we've got to be careful, even in this day and age. There are so many people trying to scam and take your money. But this, on the other hand, is just so amazingly well set up, with everything they've got, the structures, it's all organised. If you compare that to the Star Atlas, structures are good, but the ships, where was it? Oh no, that's inventory, the marketplace. So, click on marketplace. You can see you've got skins and everything all mixed in there. These are the ships that will be released, I believe, in a day and a half. You're going to have a large, what do you call those, capital bomber and a medium fighter. So that is probably going to be the fighter, you would imagine, and that would be the bomber. Haven't clicked on them, haven't seen them. Yeah, Grenadier. So there's so much happening. We'll try and get through my list. Talk about the licenses. Uniforms. Uniforms were, do I have them here? Uniforms were a funny one. There was talk that you shouldn't be considering buying them for your NPCs. That was asked at the last town hall. I managed to get myself a couple of glows because I bought one for me, one for a team member that couldn't do it at the time. I also got myself a couple of the sashes, which were just these Provenance, I think they were, and I think they're just scarves. I didn't get the shirt or the bodysuit because I didn't know what was going to be. Could you layer all four together? Still haven't actually found out whether you can layer all four together. But I got those, I got all the badges. I didn't see the for sale numbers, and while I'm talking about it, that would be collectibles. Let's go and have a look. Oh, hello. Crew gear. So let's click on what's going to be one of the biggest ones. Atlas. How many sold? So these sold for $7.26. I'd like to say $7.26. It was thereabouts. $6.72. No, $6.72. I'm going with my second guess. So they're not really selling for much different. Well, actually, they're not buying for much different. They've got $14.50. So this is an interesting part. Is this going to bring in pay to win? Because these come into giving your crew more morale, and that may be super important, and general feel good parts. That may be important in the whole ecology of things. So how does that work as well? These can't be recreated. They burnt the unsold equipment, unsold badges, because there was either 10 or 100 million of each of these. I don't know that I've got the numbers right. I'll go and check my zeros at some stage. Either way, they've been burnt. Now you can't buy them unless you get them off the secondary market house. So there was also talk, there was a link up happening with Star Atlas about potentially being able to send your NFTs away, get them burnt, and get a representative of a real life item for one of these. These sold for around $390 from memory. I've never spent that much on a piece of clothing, yet I've spent it on a JPEG. So, I mean, everyone's got their price, right? Discord on Star Atlas was changed. Let's have a quick look at that. So we go into the Discord and you see it changed. I don't know if it's available for me, but there used to be a WAGs chat. That became a bit, even when I looked at it, it was a bit out there. I couldn't imagine a CEO having time to read through some of the gibberish and bullshit that was on it, so they've changed it to people that I think are shilling the product or have actual real input and real questions. Good guild members are important in getting that information out, which we all need to hear. Some of us love watching YouTube channels, downloading, all those kinds of things, and watching it live at work. So those are awesome. 75k on the server at the moment. It's getting there. It is getting there. Now, Atlas Polis also listed on OKCoin, Gate.io. Yeah. YGG commits $1 million to buying ships. I think one of the other factions said the same. Guild said the same, and there's going to be heaps more. So let's have a quick look at Star Atlas. We'll go through here. They talk about the ships. Cool, we've got pictures. This was pretty cool. So at the moment you can't pick your race, so you can go any race within a faction. You can only pick your factions. There's been some tweets about tokenomics and effects of these today. I've seen this one here. So faction share at the moment, economy share at the moment. Basically, if you're not sure on who to go and you haven't picked a guild, you probably don't need to rush picking one. A faction, that is. It's not costing anything that I believe, and unless you've got a home to go to, you may change your mind. So there are plenty of articles out on it. Spend some time, know what you're doing. I'm going to be a part of Interstellar Alliance. They're going mud, so me picking faction is a no-brainer. And I've got 6 spacesuits I've got to use at some stage. So maybe we can use them all in the team. Was there other stuff that was super important to list? Probably. Let's get into more of it though. This was the medium about the mining. Now, there's been obviously a lot of analysis of this. I wonder whether this is UE5 graphics. You can see here very super detailed in some of the picture, and I love it. I do like seeing up the top here, you've got next rain in 43 minutes. So I wonder, do they open up the tops to let in the rain? But this is going to be a mining facility. And there was, I believe, 3 things potentially being mined. Minerals, gases, and food produce, stuff like that. Like, it's cool to see one of the first main setups being not rocks. They've put in some thought to this. There's some cool little gimmicks, all different types of ships and stuff. That just looks awesome. The article itself pretty much is not rehashed, but it is rehashed information. It's stuff that we've kind of known how to set up. It's going to cost, there's going to be DAOs. The game is creating a way of a land tax. So if you have land and you're not mining on that land, then you're going to get taxed and have to pay that tax. You're either going to need to mine on it or pay someone to do it for you, which places like YGG, stuff like that, will open up. There was something mentioned, I believe I saw something in there about players can sell land, buy land, collect taxes, or use it as collateral for loans. So I don't know if you've got a land stake. You see I had a few there in the bags, whether you can just not stake and utilize those. So I don't think, land stake ones are going to be worth much. And in the end, a staked in a green zone is probably going to be better than just having it sitting there doing nothing, and help you towards progressing it. So the next article was about the player registration. Now what you need to understand is there is a whole lot of information. This was from AEFIA. I've forgotten how to pronounce that. But AFIA? I'm really bad with that if you haven't worked that out. But these guys have got a whole heap of good information. This is where Metaverse Explorer is. This is his guild. They plan on going all 3 factions. I'm curious to see how that's going to work. But you saw her super cool photo of maybe a bounty hunter with a scoped out rifle, what kind of bullets, ammunition, all that kind of stuff that's going to hold, who knows. I like it. I like what I saw with that. That looks super neat. It is a different kind of humanoid than what we saw, alien I should say, than what we saw in the first trailer intro. So to me that was a good win. I like that. Pick the right account. Select your faction, go through DYOR, read through this. It's super duper important. You can't select your race, you can't create an avatar, you can't bid on names. There's a lot of stuff that's basically you can get in there and you can pick your faction. So they do talk heavily about certain things which I actually hadn't considered, was ledgers and whether you should use a safety. They've recommended not using a ledger, so everyone's got to pick their own safety what they're prepared to risk in the end. If you don't have a ledger, if you don't have a hardware wallet, then everything's at risk. These are things you've got to think about, or make sure you've got gaming wallets and you've got access to things like that. Now, keep in mind you've got faction bonuses, and they're going to run this like a paper, scissors, rock. It's going to be 3 factions, so they're going to have them kind of combat each other out. So I think it's going to be a good mixture of races, of factions, based on the fact of how they've done the economics. They addressed ways of making sure there was going to be early leveling out, and we don't know, by the time the main game comes out in 15 months, 18 months, 2 years, by then shit will change. So really for me, I'm playing for A, my DAC, and B, short term. You've got to consider short term. You've got to consider, am I going to get some kind of return? How am I going to get that return? Faction setup, blah blah blah. I'll let you guys go and read that. There are plenty of articles, there are plenty of documents. Now let's go and see what we've got to do. I haven't done this yet, so I had a quick look. That's the alien that we saw, the one off of the first, the Oni. I'll still mix that up. So that was the Oni. It's a little bit too aliensy for me. Now, choose your faction. I've considered playing tanks in the last 10-15 years of gaming. Love tanks. And I would love to go and Uster pilot within Mud territory. So Mud is going to be where my guild DAC is picking their race, so that's what I'll take for now. But this is the thing, is there's not a lot of information out there at the moment on what are the benefits going to be if you want to fly a human Mud made ship. There are going to be some kind of bonuses towards being an Oni bounty hunter and flying the Opod, I think it is. So you need to think a little bit further, and again, if you're not sure, just don't click on it. Now let's have a look. What do we do? Mud territory. Ooh, hello. So there's a bit of information here. Manus Ultimus Divinium. So Rome should have gone, these guys. It's a very old Roman styled kind of Latin name. The Last of Iron Hand. A spacefaring faction of humans orientated from the human planet of Earth after uniting under a common cause, inspired by a benevolent Fatoli scout. This is all part of the history you get back from the ReBirth posters. Humans harnessed Earth's resources to set off for the stars under the contemporary leadership of Old Mate. Mud Territory is established as the only legitimate human faction in the Council of Peace. Despite the dramatic losses in the Convergent War during decades past, Mud emerged as an industrial powerhouse in the region. Now, does it talk about Mud controls space, proximity to raw materials to serve a core purpose in the component processing for distant astronautical travel and ballistics technology. They shoot shit good. They get a firepower bonus. Join Mud to ensure the perpetual, fair and powerful leadership of humankind. So, asset value, players, 1, 2, 3, 9. That's pretty cool. Traits, firepower, local resources, tenon, Hycenium, diamond. Fucking diamond. Now, I haven't seen these, so let's have a look at Uster. Total players 1,000. Hull strength, exploratory. This is why I've played tanks, and I think as a pilot during combat, like it would be cool to be able to E. Oh, that's changed. Hull strength and exploratory, because it was, I believe, being able to dodge combat, piloting. So exploratory. Local resources, lithium, Viscovite. I like it. That's some new shit. Alright, I'm not going to read it all out. Become a part of the Uster sector to also form your own path in the physical universe and ascend the ranks of every observable spiritual plane. Receive access to rare minerals vital to the formation of highly nimble thruster tech and top tier hull reinforcing pipelines. So if you plan on paying something like a compact hero, which is going to be a medium ship, if you plan on putting extra armor onto some of your ships to deck them out differently and more combat orientated, then obviously you're going to need some of the resources these guys are going to be able to supply. Now let's have a quick look at Oni. The Oni faction is a harmonious consortium of diverse species. They've got multiple alien races. People of the Om sector, Seagull, Akanat and Nuno systems collectively set aside their differences in the hopes of a more bountiful life in space. After the near total wartime extinction of the Sogmian race, the Miris, Punab and Fatoli united firmly together under a strategic military pact to save their desperate ally. Through this pact, a breakthrough weapon of war was constructed. Before retaliation took hold to destroy the region's life force, a truce was soon declared for the betterment of all factions and peace settled throughout. The benefits of joining the Oni region lie primarily in access to densely clustered raw materials within their controlled space. These materials are highly coveted in the crafting of advanced stealth and radar technologies, leading to the discovery of even greater breakthroughs for all sentient life. 1,000 people, so it looks like there's more humans at the moment. Mud, I should say. Factional traits, diplomatic and technological. So that used to be stealth and something else. Local resources, Jasperus, Chisenic and gold. So we've got some old things on. Every faction at the moment has an old resource that we can recognise. So let's go back, click on the old Mud, Manus, Ultimus, Divinum. Choose. Are you sure you want to choose Mud territory? Your faction choice is permanent. This may influence your ability to trade with other factions and will also determine which local resources you have access to. Please coordinate your decision with other players you would like to join forces with. This is a one-time for this wallet only. Be careful. Make sure you think this through. If you're not sure, don't. Take time. Wait. You're not picking a name, you're not picking an actual race you're going to be playing, you're picking your faction. Let's do it. Oh, did I get it right? Got it right. That looks like it's going to be a transaction enlisting you into the Mud faction. This actually made me change my name, Star Atlas. So I've grown up as Barndog. I did Clash of Clans content as Barndog.80, and I needed a name that I was going to be able to go into a space age game, and took on Barndog because that was a name that I had played previously in World of Warcraft as multiple characters. Not main characters, but seconds and thirds and stuff like that. So here old Barndog is having a name that I can potentially use in Star Atlas. Welcome to the Mud territory. View profile. Let's have a look. What do we got? What? So it tells you your wallet address. You can't do your avatar yet. Account age. A minute. Yeah. I don't know if I've got any closing thoughts. I've missed shit. I've missed a heap of stuff. I haven't done a video for this for almost 3 weeks. It is going to be a super duper big week. They've got new ships coming out. There was something else that was super important. What did I miss? New ships, we talked about that. Ship drop and mini game open. What? 5th of October. That's the mini game, what we're doing now. Yub Guild made their announcement. Solana cheap. Yub Guild. Yeah. Look, hopefully I've helped. I am, what can I say? I'm bullish for the game. I've bought a lot of posters early. Been here since April, buying stuff. It's cool. It's interesting to see where the game's going, to have this adventure along the way. There's going to be other games coming out first, earlier, and are potentially going to be playing and may even take some market share from this game. But this is a long-term game. They're going to start soon with the mini game. Obviously, it was hoping for a September release, and that's kind of hurt them with saying it because everyone's like, when mini game. But look, this is awesome. Hope you guys like. Thank you, Mother, for the rabbits.